Hello, everyone. I hope you're all enjoying the presentation so far. Unless I'm the first one to go, then that's weird. Anyways, I chose this article that I read a few weeks ago, which some of the students are supposed to hand it out. I hope they did, because it really caught my attention. The title of it, something that I could relate to my culture, but also to the history of Paris in general. And it's basically a reflection of a big event that happened 2011, I think, when there was the first ban of the niqab in public, which personally at the beginning I was kind of I didn't understand, but then looking at the history of France, I not only do I understand it, but I feel like it's something that should be implemented. Um, and in this article, there are a few things that I've noticed. One of them is that if when the French want something, they do it, and we've seen that throughout history for in the revolutions or the protests. Basically, people always ask what they want, and in this one, the small like one woman or group of performers also had the same power that is reflected in the history when in the second act of the, as you read in the article, in the second act, the performers said they did not want to perform in front of this woman. They didn't want to perform in front of a faceless audience member. But then later given the option to either reveal the face or leave. And the deputy director said, but there was a misunderstanding of the law, and the lady either had to respect it or leave. Um, I think by leaving it is actually respecting it because she did not make a big fuss. But the second time is just more than the law. We all know so what we know from the history of Paris is that in 1905 there was the official um, agreement of separating the church from the state during the Third Republic. And of course that includes all religions and not strictly Islam. And at the time they were trying to get Roman Catholicism to be implemented with the state, not just Islam. It's, I don't want to give the French a bad reputation of acting on the spot, but that is what happened in history, in the revolutions, and the massacres, in the sorry, the oh my God, oh, what's the word? Protests and the protests that are still happening in Paris, and of course they all stem the history, but slowly build up. So behind this elimination of the religious group is basically behind this is the history of separating the state from the church, and specifically religious symbols in the public sphere. And this incident that we see in this article basically highlights that in the history. I want to stress that the French ideology, where they want freedom of religion, of religious exercise, ironically, because that this law um, does support the freedom of religious exercise, but also neutrality of the state and the public power is related to the church. So giving the power to the people essentially, as opposed to having the church control it. In 1905, this law was implemented. It takes its roots back to the French Revolution in 1789, where basically the basis of the revolution is trying to find um, the separation of the church and the state, and that term laicite is pretty much reinforced here. So I don't want to say this is about oppression or atheism, as people would say, or anti-Semitism. It is strictly based on the history of Paris, and this kind of situation is basically reflects and reinforces that the ideologies are not only persistent, but people are still keeping them, which is probably one of the successes of Paris society. And I think that when she left, it is actually a sign of respect as opposed to having to show her face, because she left without making a fuss, without asking for compensation, and it was very peaceful. However, the Minister of Culture in France did say that they want to reevaluate what they found um, in the public, like in theaters and movies, that people can wear it. But again, I think that will never happen because it contradicts what Paris is all about. Because that is still, sorry, French history is all about. Because that is still a public sphere. One quick question that I'm still thinking about is that what is the importance of like that woman in the theater? in niqab to the like. Why was it so important for the performers to not have that in the opera when it's like an art place where people express themselves. The article notices that they are from the Gulf and in the most expensive seats. I don't want to be strictly saying that this is the basis behind the act, but it's just something to think about. What is the symbolic or the symbolism of this woman in this atmosphere? Thank you.